You're right gamers, STR Llama here and welcome to the long-awaited DaVinci 101. This is going to be a tutorial on how to use DaVinci Resolve to edit your gaming videos or just editing videos in general. So let's waste absolutely no time and get started. Okay, so when you load up DaVinci Resolve, you're going to be greeted with this screen. This is just the basic home screen function. Any projects you've started editing and either haven't finished or you have finished and haven't gotten rid of from your little project thing here, all of your projects will just be here basically. For this video, we're going to double click on Start New Project. And you'll be greeted with this screen. I understand there's a lot of buttons, there's a lot of fucking shit on the screen, but don't be scared, it's fine, okay? It's like seeing a penis for the first time. It's all natural, everyone does it. The first sort of thing you should do before editing any video is a bit of housekeeping. So coming down to the cog wheel here, you can't really see it because of GeForce overlay being a cunt. You click on the cog wheel. You mainly want to be in the master settings. So the things you want to look out for is what resolution your timeline is. It should be 1920 by 1080 for proper HD videos. Feel free to change it to Ultra HD or 4K or 8K if you're recording in those settings, but I doubt it. You can also downgrade it if you've recorded in 480p or 720p for those of my peoples with lower end PCs. There's a little switch here. If you're making TikToks or a YouTube short, you want to have that switch on. This will switch the dimensions around so that instead of being long ways, the video will be upper ways. I guess that's the term for it. I'm going to have that ticked off for this example. Another important aspect to do is setting the frame rate correctly, because if you don't set the frame rate up before you start editing, the video is going to be locked at that frame rate. And by default, DaVinci will put all of your projects at 24 FPS, which unless you're filming in 24 FPS for whatever reason, it's not going to look good. So click on here and change it to whatever FPS you record in. I like to record in 60 FPS because it's the highest YouTube lets you go, and it's also just the smoothest as well. It looks really nice on videos. Other than that, all of the other settings are fine. You don't need to mess with it. If you're using DaVinci Resolve for the first time, maybe change where your proxy and cache files are saved, but I'm just going to leave them as they are. When you're done with that, I'm just going to introduce you to the different sort of tabs. So there's a bunch of different tabs down here. Realistically, you're only going to be using this one and maybe this one and this one. But I'll just go through all of them so you know what they do and what they are. So this is the media pool. This is where you can see all of the clips that are in your video and you can manage them. This is the cut menu. It's mainly used for cutting up footage, but you really do not need this. I never use it. This is the edit page. This is where you're going to be spending 90% of your editing. It's where all of your effects are. It's where all of your tools are for editing. So you're mainly going to want to stick in the edit tab. Fusion is for more special effects stuff. You're going to want to use this menu if you're doing any blurring and tracking blurs and stuff like that. I only use this menu occasionally. If you want a separate tutorial on how to use this, please let me know because I'm not going to be diving into it in this video. This is the color wheel menu. If you want to make your clips black and white, or if you want to give them alternating colors to give off a certain theme or color palette, this is the menu that you need for it. It looks a bit confusing at first, but it really isn't. We'll go through this at some point. This is the audio tab. This is where you can keep track of what audio is being played in your video. Again, I never use this menu because I can look at the audio in the edit tab. And finally, but certainly not least, is your rendering/publishing tab. This is the tab that we're going to need to come to at the very end when it comes to rendering your video. I'm going to be taking this clip from a session that we did on REPO to just demo some edits on. When you're adding footage, you need to open up the File Explorer onto wherever your footage is saved, and you can simply just drag and drop it into the timeline. If you get this pop-up, just click Change. Better to be safe than sorry. It basically just changes the DaVinci Resolve timeline to whatever FPS the clip is recorded in. I'm pretty sure this is 60 FPS. Oh, okay, never mind. Okay, so I'm just going to mute this for now. So if you look in the top corner, when the video is playing, this is what FPS the video is playing at. So I thought this was recording in 60 FPS, but it was actually recording in 59.94. So no biggie. Not really an issue. Not going to affect anything, really. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing you're going to sort of want to know is your razor tool. This is your razor tool. If you click it, you'll equip it. So if you want to do a jump cut in your video, you're going to want to turn your attention to the razor tool. And basically what you do is, if we let this play out. So let's say I wanted to do a cut from after I say game over disposal. So what you want to do is you want to make sure your playhead is above the clip that you want to trim. And then you need to left click to create a split. Now this clip has been splitted in 2 halves. And what this means now is you can jump forward to, let's say, here. And you can create another cut. Now it's made 3 additional clips. And what you can do is with the clip that you want to cut out, you can click it. And you can either do right click and then cut. Or alternatively, you can click on it and then hit the delete key or backspace key on your keyboard. Now the issue is that when the cut starts, there's a massive black void. We obviously don't want this. So what you can do is you can bring the clip along like so, and now you guys were so far. Congratulations, you've made your first jump cut. But this is really slow and it's impractical, and when you have sound effects and other video layers on top, for example, it's going to get very annoying having to drag them all across. So what I recommend doing from the get-go is when you want to do a cut, when you don't want to do a jump cut, sorry, make your splits, and then you want to right click and click this button that says rip or delete. Alternatively, you can do Control-Shift-X. What this will do is that it will get rid of the clip you want to delete, and it will also bring everything in the timeline across for you so you do not have to do it. Boom, it's brought everything across, no hassle at all. So if we let this play out. Perfect, looks absolutely fine. Another skill you probably want to need to learn is how to trim footage. So if I just get rid of my cuts here quickly. Let's say I don't want to include this first bit and I just want to have it start from here. You can just cut and ripple delete and it will bring it across, or something else you can do is with your mouse, if you bring it over to the ends, your mouse will change into the trim icon. Now with this, you can grab and drag it across to trim your clip. There is a bit of audio scrubbing, and what I mean by this with audio scrubbing is that when you do this, you can hear the audio playing back to you. So you can just take the clip to where you want it and then drag it across. Another aspect that you can do, which involves trimming, and it doesn't just involve videos, this involves audio as well, is that if you double click on a clip, it will open it up in what I like to call the video inspection. And what you can do is if you move this white bar, you can skim across the clip like you could if you were dragging it, and you can also use the ball to trim the clip, just like so. This is quite useful for if you just want to trim one thing and you don't want anything else to get affected. And it's also good so that if you have a particularly long bit of footage, let me actually grab a long bit of footage so I can demonstrate it properly. You don't want to have to do this. It's very long, it takes up time, and you're going to get bored. So alternatively, you can just double click and drag the ball to where you want to trim it, and it's 10 times easier to do, and then you can just, yeah. Okay, so the next editing technique I'm going to show you guys is how to not only alter the speed of a clip, but how to do freeze frames as well, because it's all in the same bit. So let's say I wanted this clip to be a bit sped up. You simply need to right click, scroll down to change clip speed, and with the speed tab here, you can increase it to make the clip speed up. Okay. Or alternatively, if you go back to speed control, you can decrease it to let it play in slow motion. Some other things that you can do is if you take the speed dial and if you bring it into the minuses, it will play the clip in reverse. Meaning it will start at the end and end at the start, and it will play in reverse at whatever speed you set it to. So now, how you can do freeze frames. There's 2 ways to do this. Simply just click freeze frame, change, and it will make the clip completely frozen, and you can do whatever editing effects on top of this that you want. Alternatively, it's sort of the impractical way of doing it, but you can do it if you want. Just drag the slider down to exactly 0, 0, 0. But again, it's not really practical. It's much easier just to click the freeze frame button. Layering. So now, another aspect to editing that you need to know is a term called layering. Layering basically means you put clips on top of the already existing clip. And what this does, this allows you to put special effects over your videos. You can put meme edits on top of it. So just a basic example. So a video that I downloaded was the Wowee Coyote Falling Screaming. So you just drag that onto your timeline and it'll, depending on where you put it, it will put it in either video track 1. What you want to do is you need to drag it upwards so that it's in either 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. And then you can drag it on top of your video. We're going to put it here. And now when the video plays,
where is he?
It will play over the top like so. It's important to layer your clips properly because if you have the video, let's say, in the middle of the timeline, it's gonna... yeah, it's not gonna look right. It's gonna be weird. And it's important to have clean layering as well. It's, yeah, you get what I'm saying. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is how to do fade-ins and fade-outs. Fade-in and fade-outs are quite important. They can be used within editing to make a clip transition in and out nicely, and it can also add a pretty good start and end to your video. So for example, let's say I wanted to have the video here fade in. So what you want to do is take your mouse towards the start of the clip and you'll see this white ball appear. Simply drag it out to as far as you want it and it will do your fade in. But there's something you'll notice. The video isn't fading in with the audio. That's okay. You just do the exact same thing. Bring the mouse down to the audio, drag it out like so.
Oh, you hit me!
There you go. I'm actually going to make these a bit shorter. They go on for a bit too long. Pro tip. The audio fade in and fade out. The video one doesn't have this, but the audio one, it has this little ball. This affects how gradually it fades in. So you can either have it black for longer, or you can have it black for a lot shorter. So now, for the next chapter of this editing tutorial, I'm going to be showing you guys the inspector menu. If you guys don't see this menu, do not panic. Simply just click the inspector button at the top right corner of your screen and it will open it up. This menu is super important because it will allow you to do your zoom ins, cropping, compositions, and it will allow you to do your audio editing, voice isolation, blah, blah, blah. And when we get to special effects, it's also how you alter and change the special effects. You can also alter and change any transitions that you put on top of the clip. And this just tells you what the file type is. It is in 60 FPS. Why the fuck is DaVinci Gaslight? Anyway, so let's say I am at this part of the video and I want to zoom into this guy's beautiful little face. What you want to do is make sure you have the clip selected. If you don't have the clip selected, it won't zoom in. And with the transform tool, you can move this dial across to zoom in and out. And you can move these dials across to move left, right, and you can move this dial to go up and down. When in doubt, just click this to reset all the properties back to default. So what we're going to do is we're going to zoom in like that, drag this across, move it up a little bit. Perfect. Now it's all zoomed in. Perfect. But, pro tip, if you do it just like this, the whole clip is going to be zoomed in. So what you want to do, just reset this quickly, is you need to make sure you create a split so that when you do the zoom, it's only this side of the clip that's affected. So we're just going to redo what we've just done. Up, zoom in a bit more, right? Yeah. Oh, do not do that. So now, when this clip plays out, it will be at the default properties, as you can see here. And then when it transitions to this clip, it will be all the zoomed in stuff. But now you're probably wondering, how do I do an animated zoom? You probably don't want to have just the video cut into a zoom in, because otherwise it may look jarring, it may not work for what you want to do. This is where I'm going to introduce you guys to keyframes, the bane of my existence. So, we're going to have our clip here. Make sure it's highlighted, and you want to go to the transform tab, and you want to click this diamond at the top. What this will do is it will make all of the diamonds across the zoom properties active. And what this means is that when you move, let's say, one frame across, they'll all go grey because now we've started that animating process. So what you want to do is you want to, by using the arrow keys to go through the video frame by frame, you want to go to the point of the video that you want to be completely zoomed in. So let me just demo this. Let me go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's say 10 frames across. And then you need to zoom in, move it across, move it up, maybe zoom in a bit more, across, up. And now, when the video clip starts playing, it will gradually move into the zoom instead of it just statically popping in. The keyframes can go on for as long as you like, so I can drag the playhead like way out here and like zoom it in, move it across, up, whatever, and then it will take a while for it to zoom in. So depending on what speed you want the clip to zoom in and how many keyframes you want, that's what you can use that for. And the keyframes also apply for things like rotation. So if I just highlight this diamond, move it across, that's not the rotate tool. Yep. You get the point. I don't need to demo anymore. You guys aren't babies. Something that the keyframes also apply towards is tracking. So tracking shots is basically when the footage is moving with a certain subject so that it's never out of frame. So let's say I want the camera to track the head chasing me. So I'm going to drag my little playhead to when it sort of comes into frame. I'm going to do a split, highlight the clip, and toggle your keyframes on. And then for this, instead of going to the point where you want it to zoom in, because that's not going to work, what you can do is a couple of frames forwards, zoom in, boom, boom. That's going to start our clip off nicely with a zoom in. And then once it's fully zoom in, what you want to do is use the keyframes to go through frame by frame. And as the head moves, you need to use the transform options to make sure that he is constantly in frame. Just like so. And it is important to do this frame by frame. Yeah, I know it's going to be monotonous and a bit tiring, but it's better than doing that, because otherwise you're going to get inaccurate results and it's going to look a bit shit. That actually hasn't turned out too bad, if I'm being honest. There is an alternative method I like to use for tracking shots because it's a lot easier than having to drag these across all the time. So we're going to do our keyframes, zoom in, move, up, and now this is what you want to do. Make sure to have this option highlighted. This is your transform tool. And what this will do is that instead of using this to move your clip, to move your zoom, you can simply use the mouse on the screen. So if I go 2 frames forward, I can click on the screen, drag it, boom! It's created a keyframe. Look at that. Rinse and repeat. Keep doing that. It's a lot easier because you don't... Look, you see, they're moving without you even touching them. And it's a lot easier because you can just move the mouse to wherever you want the frame to be. And it's just a lot easier than if you did it like this, for example. And I find that doing it this way proves for a lot more smoother results as well. One final aspect I want to mention is cropping. If you ever add a clip in and you want to crop it to look nicely on top of another clip, you can do that. So let's say, for example, I got my coyote clip again. Going to put it over the top. Zoom it out a little bit. Let's say I don't want these black boxes in it. So what you can do is you open the cropping menu and it's, just crop left. That's right. Fuck me. Crop right. Crop left. Crop top if you really want to. Crop bottom if you really want to. Softness, just, I guess that kind of adds like a vignette effect, I guess. Reset that. And yes, keyframes do apply to these as well. So if you want it to gradually crop, you can do that. So let's just demonstrate that now. Perfect. That's absolutely fine to me. The toolbox is essentially a menu where you can access every effect in DaVinci and every transition. Note to self, not every effect and transition will be available to you on the free version. I am using the studio version of DaVinci, so all of the effects are unblocked to me. But if you try and drag in an effect that's locked behind a paywall, you will get an error message pop up on the screen. Just click the no option, I guess. Dreaded skull mention! So, first thing we're going to go over is transitions. In case you don't want to use the sort of like fade in and fade out stuff, you can use generalized transitions. So, for a transition to work, you need to have a cut clip with a split in the middle, because you can only add transitions in the middle of a split. You can add transitions to the end and the start of a video, but we'll go over that in a minute. So let's say I wanted to transition from this part of the video to here. So we'll create the splits, we'll do our cuts. Head over to the toolbox, you want to go on video transitions, and any of these transitions will be sort of good to go. So the first one I'll demonstrate is the Aduio Dissolve. Pro tip, if you ever want to demo what the transition is going to look like before you apply it, take your mouse on top of the transition and scrub it across like that. And it will show you simultaneously as you scrub what the transition will roughly look like. So let's say I really want to use Aduio Dissolve. Drag this, put it in the middle of the split. Okay. That looks pretty good. If you want it to happen a bit quicker, using the trim method, you can drag this down and it will happen a lot sharper. It will be a lot quicker. Alternatively, if you drag it out, it will take a lot longer to actually transition. Another aspect in the toolbox you're probably going to use often is the filter tab. As the name implies, it adds a filter over your video. So you can just put these on any clip really. So let's say I wanted this clip to be blurry. You just drag and drop that on top like so. It will make it blurry. This is where the inspector comes back in, because if you click onto effects, you can manipulate how it looks. You can also set keyframes so that the effect comes on gradually. You've got directional blur, Gaussian blur. There's a lot of blur effects. Some of these effects, I'm not actually sure what they do. You can probably... oh, fuck me. Do not use that one. Resolve FX simulations. These are more specialized effects. They make your clip look in a certain way. So the camera shake, as the name implies, it will add a subtle rumble onto your clip. You can use the inspector again to manipulate how it looks. You can make it quicker, more violent. You can add motion blur if you really want to. So that one's all right. So now the final sort of thing I want to cover for the like when you're editing visual effects is we're going to come over to the color tab, and this is where I'm going to show you how to use it effectively. So all of these different options will allow you to manipulate different color aspects of the clip. You can either use the color wheel to get a more dynamic approach of how the color is affected. Use this button up here to reset all of the effects. Or you can use the little nodes down here, which is like green, blue, blah, blah, blah. Mess around with these, see what the different sort of like options do and like how they manipulate the clip. And when you come back to edit, the effects will apply automatically. Okay, so the next part we're going to go over in this tutorial is how to use green screen / blue screen footage. This effect works across the board. It will work on either green screens or blue screens, doesn't really matter. Okay, so this is fine so far. It's very green, and you can't see the video, so... to do a green screen, what you want to do is you need to make sure you come over to this little section again, and you want to click on the drop-down menu and select Open Effects Overlay. If you don't have this selected and enabled, you won't be able to do the green screen. Coming over to Filters, you want to look for, or you can type up that's a pound symbol, 3D keyer. Take the 3D keyer effect, drag and drop it onto the clip. And now it will automatically take you to the Effects in the Inspector tab, where the 3D keyer will be seen. The next thing you want to do is you need to click on the little eyedrop with the plus and click on the green parts of the video. You may have noticed that there's still a green outline around our little man here. Do not worry, simply go to where it says despill and crank it all the way up to remove the green edges. There are other options that you can play around in. You don't really need to mess with these unless you're working with like an actual green screen background and like some of it looks a bit dodgy. I can go more into advanced green screening in another video if you want to, but if you're doing a YouTube video, you really don't need to know this. Some more visual effects I can show off is in the effects tab, there's some more visual stuff that isn't in the filters, so you can get binoculars, CCTV, colored border, comic book. I think most of these, however, are locked behind a paywall, but I think you can use some of them for free. But I'm not too sure, so don't take my word for it, if that's all right. And finally, generators. Generators will allow you to do stuff visually as well, so you can add a color bar, for example. This is where I do like my bleep effect, where it does like a jump cut after like a mistake or a fail or something like that. There's stuff here like grayscale. You can do some gradient editing. Full color gradient, you can do some color wave editing here. Solid color, this is how I get my white screen when I want to have like, I don't know, a white screen pop up, for example. That's how you do that. These are definitely studio only. These are like animated ones, and I didn't actually know these were in the software until after I got studio, so you guys definitely can't use this for free. But they look pretty cool. Okay, so now, the next thing, and probably one of the most important things, depending on your editing style, is how to make good-looking subtitles. So let's go over to a bit where someone's talking quickly.
We can be as jiggly as we want.
Yeah, we're going to use that one. We can be as jiggly as we want. So what you want to do is, with the toolbox, make sure you have titles selected, and you want to use the text plus effect. There are other text options like lower left lower third, middle lower third, right lower third, scroll. However, I don't like to use these because text plus allows you to do the most customization with it. So I highly recommend doing this for all of your subtitling needs. So drag this, put it on top of the timeline, drag it to where you want to be, and boom, custom title. I recommend positioning this to exactly where you want.
We can be as jiggly as we want.
Make sure you select what type of font you want it to be. I'm going to keep it on this one, and how bold it is. I'm going to make this bold for this example. And getting rid of the text, you can type. So I'm going to type, we can be as jiggly.
We can be as jiggly as we want.
Bingo, you just subtitles, easy as that.
As jiggly as we want.
However, these look kind of plain, and it isn't reflective of the subtitles I do and the subtitles you'd see from people like Schmitty or Vanos Gaming, for example. So I'm going to show you how to customize it. Going back to we can be as jiggly as we want, make sure you have it selected, and you can change the color by either using the default options, or you can use the actual precise color picker if you really want to. Make it red if you really want to. For this example, I'm going to keep it white. The next thing you want to do is go over to shading. Click on the number 2 option and red outline enable. Boom, now we have our outline. I recommend turning up the thickness so you can actually see the outline.
We can be as jiggly as we want.
Boom, this is looking a bit better. However, there's one more thing I recommend doing to make it look more stand out from the background of the video. So if you click over to option 3 and enable black shadows, this will add a backdrop to the text. You can't really see it, but it is there. There you go, you can see the drop shadow now. Looks 10 times better. I'm gonna remove it, enable it, remove it. Yeah. Something I want to quickly gloss over is audio effects and audio editing. So with a clip selected or with an audio file selected, if you go over to your inspector and click audio, you can manipulate the volume. So you can completely mute it. You can make it really loud. I am not going to hit spacebar on that. Pan affects what ear it comes out of, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so all the way to the right, it'll come out your left ear, and all the way to the left, it'll come out your left ear. And then, of course, keyframes apply to these as well. Voice isolation, dialogue leveler, and music remixer. These are effects that are only in the paid version, so I'm not really going to go over them properly. This just separates voices from music. I actually don't know what this one does, and this actually allows you to manipulate songs by adding more bass, or adding more vocals, or adding less bass, adding less vocals, drums, you know, just stuff like that. Pitch, pretty self-explanatory. If you move it up towards the right, it will sound high-pitched and quite tingy. And if you move it to the left, it will sound more lower pitched. The equalizer is actually quite important. This is how you do sort of like the muffled effects and underwater effects. How it works is that it's sort of like balls that you can drag and it creates like a pattern. Just have a play around with these, drag these across, see what they do. See, that's doing this pattern has made it more muffled. And if you're wondering, Llama, what the fuck? What do you mean by patterns? Well, every technique that you can do in the equalizer is patterns. And what I recommend doing is if you want to pull off a certain effect, like, oh, I want to make it sound like I'm underwater because the clip is underwater. Literally look up on YouTube how to make underwater effect in DaVinci. And you don't even need to watch the whole video. Just fast forward to when they show off the equalizer pattern and just copy it. You literally don't need to do anything else. It's quite easy. There are some audio effects that you can utilize. Okay, so let's say I have these two clips here and they transition into each other like this. Oh, the cube.
Did it.
It's a bit rough, kind of unconsensual, not really something you want. So the first thing you can do, other than doing a visual transition, is you can do an audio transition so that the two separate audio clips flow together nicely. So if you go to audio transitions and you use crossfade, 0 decibels, and slap that on top.
I did it. I did it.
As you can see, the audio kind of plays before the video actually starts. It's just a nicer, more softer transition into the next clip.
I did it.
And if you couple that with a visual effect, so let's use cross dissolve as an example.
I did it.
It looks quite nice, don't it? Don't you agree? Another aspect of audio you can do is obviously the effects. So in the toolbox in audio FX, you'll be greeted with Fairlight effects. You have a lot of different options to play around with, and these will just manipulate the audio into sounding different. So if I drag and drop chorus on top of this audio file, do not panic. I know it looks complicated, but there's presets that you can use. So if I set this to large and then let it play, the cube.
Did it.
I had him. Sounds a bit... oh, he fucking moaned. Oh, good boy. Sounds a bit weird. Sounds a bit jarring. If I put it on mellow. I had him. Wide dialogue. Dramatic. I had him. Alternatively, you can just mess around with the dials and see what they do. These dials also mess with what is seen on the inspector. You can, if I get rid of this, you can do the exact same editing on the inspector if you really want to. There's other effects, so there's delay. If I just keep this as normal. I had him. Add sort of like an echo to the whole thing. Speaking of which, echo. I had him. That sounds alright. So, I'm already at a completed video. This is the editing timeline for REPO Funny Moments 2. If you haven't seen that already, link will be in the description. So let's say I've spent 3 or so hours doing all of the editing and stuff like that, and it's time to render. First order of business, save. Always save your projects. When you're saving a project for the first time, a menu will pop up asking you to name it. Just name it whatever you want, really. Save again, should be on the safe side. Alternatively, you can just do Control S to save. And once you're ready to render, what you want to do is you want to click on the Deliver tab, and you'll be brought to this menu. So the custom export gives you a lot of options to play around with. You can edit the video in whatever way... you can export the video in whatever manner you see fit. However, if you're making a YouTube video, I recommend having it set to the YouTube preset because it gives you less options to play around with, meaning it's less complicated and it takes off most of the heavy lifting, like with the bitrate and shit like that. So file name, you want to call this You can call this whatever you want. I tend to call it what the video is going to be called. So we're just going to call it Repo Funny Moments 2. Location, you want to make sure to save this into a folder that you're actually going to be able to find. I tend to just have it in the default video file on my C drive. Resolution, if you want to... Let's say you edited this video in HD, but you actually want it to be in 720p, you can do that. Or if you rendered it in 4K, if you edited it, in 4K and you want to render it in HD, you can do that. Neat trick I'm going to show you guys. As you've noticed, my videos render in 1440p now instead of just 1080, which is also known as HDR. By default, DaVinci does not have a HDR option. So what you can do is that if you've recorded in 1440p, which is what I record in for all my videos, and you want to render it in 1440p rather than 1080p, what you need to do is click on the resolution and scroll up to custom. For the first property, you want to type 2560, and for the last bit, you want to type 1440. Click off of it, and now this is in the optimal resolution settings for 1440p rendering. Going through the rest of the settings, you can render it in whatever format you want. I recommend doing it in MP4 because it's the most universally recognized file format and it's the most shareable file format compared to something like QuickTime. Video codecs, you don't really need to mess with this. Just make sure it's set to H.264 at the very minimum, or H.265. I'm not familiar with what AV1 is, so just don't mess with it. Keep this on auto, keep this on high, keep this on bus. Just keep this as normal. Once you have all of your settings ready, you want to click Add to Render Queue. Because of the 1440p option, an option to add high resolution renders will be presented to you. Just click Add. And then, once you're ready to go, click Render. And now this will render in the background. It will take a couple of time. It's all mellow. I'm actually just going to stop this quickly. So let's pretend that video rendered. It's on my drive here. You can then take this video and upload it to YouTube. And yeah, that's basically it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know this is sort of a different video to what I normally wanted to do, but a lot of you guys have been asking for a tutorial on DaVinci Resolve, because I know a lot of you are either doing media or YouTube, or want to do media or want to do YouTube, and you just want to know how to get started with a professional level software. So I hope this tutorial helps you. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I'll try my best to answer and help you guys as much as possible. If you want more advanced tutorials on how to do more technical stuff, let me know. I'm interested in doing a sequel to this video. That's basically it. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and I'll see you gamers in the next video. Peace out.
I'm so fly like an X-Wing, staying that pump with the next thing, I show speed, yes I'm messy. I don't do coke, I do Pepsi. Name's not Johnny, so don't test me. We DIY, yeah, we Etsy. Don't wanna talk,